Welcome back to Tackett's House of Horsepower. It's me, Steve Tackett, and hopefully you watched my last video there. You saw the Blue Wagon is having an issue with oil pressure doing its own thing. So I think what we're gonna do is it's time to pull the GOAT out of retirement. You'll see. So underneath that trash bag is one of my favoriteest engines I've ever owned and ever built. And it's not much. It's really nothing at all, really. But it is the funnest little small block you will ever see. I wiped off one piston so you could see. It's just a 30 over 350 with flat top pistons, 2 valve relief. So it's like, with 64 cc heads, it's like 10 1/4, somewhere around there. Compression. The camshaft is a Isky Mega 292 flat tappet. I love Isky cams. Let's see what else. That's really it. It's just a 010 block, 010 casted 350 2-bolt main. That's right, 2-bolt main with a cast crank and cast rods. Don't. I know what you're thinking, but that little motor right there has ran 1140s about, I don't know, 100 times, and it's about 20 years old. So this engine, you can't kill it. It runs forever. It's super fun. It runs 11s. It's perfect for the street. And I believe this is Sarah's favorite engine too. She loves this thing. She used to drive this in that car daily to work and back. So let's get it degreased and cleaned up, and then we'll roll it in here, and I've got a bunch of parts to go through. All right, degreased it, cleaned it all up. It looks pretty good. It's all rebuilt, so it's good to go for another 22 years, let's hope. So I'm gonna go ahead and start reassembling this thing. I've got a new top end for this, and this is gonna be kind of surprising. So we'll get through this together. First thing I'm gonna do is go ahead and slap a new timing chain on. I got a nice billet one with the built-in bearing in it. That's kind of cool from Comp. Been sitting up on my shelf for a long time, so might as well put it to use. So let me get this old one off. You want to see something cool? Now some guys like to put that gear on with a big old brass punch and a hammer and just start wailing on there and then knock that thing all the way in. And that, you can do that, that's fine. But remember, every time you hit that thing with any impact on this is going to go through the crankshaft, and your thrust bearing is going to take the hit. So I don't want to beat on that bearing. So what I do is I use a harmonic balancer installation tool, and you stick that on the crankshaft like so, and then you get yourself one of those spacers out of your ball joint installation kit, and it fits right on there, just like that. It'll clear the crankshaft, and you can use a harmonic balancer installation tool to install your gear as well. See that? Stick the bearing on there, stick the nut on there, and you can tighten that up, and there you go. You can install your gear without beating on the bearings. So you could use tools inappropriately and still come out ahead, you know? All right, timing chain set is done. I thought the old one was in pretty good shape still, but this one is like, it's tighter than a guitar string, I'm telling you. So we got a billet timing chain set. It's got the bearing in the back. It's got the bearing in the front. So this sucker is tight. So that camshaft is not gonna move at all, period. There will be no cam walking whatsoever. So timing chain set is done. We can move on to the top end. Let's do that. All right, I like to go ahead and throw the harmonic bouncer on now, just so I can use my handy dandy, trusty, high-end, custom fabricated crankshaft rotisserie device, otherwise known as a socket welded to a cut-down pulley. But you can put this on here, and then I can use a ratchet to rotate the engine, especially for like putting heads on and adjusting valves and stuff. This makes it a lot easier. This is just a cheap SFI balancer. I like to use a solid balancer. SFI is good if you want to plan on racing at all. Plus, the original style two-piece with a rubber gasket in them. These things, especially when you shift high and rev it pretty high, these things can shift. This piece will spin on the inner piece, and this rubber gasket, especially if it's getting old and cracked, then this piece will move separate from this piece, and now your timing mark doesn't mean anything. Your timing mark will be off and you won't even know it. So you're trying to time your engine and it's not going to work. So those are fine up to like 5,000 RPMs or so. But if you're going higher than that and you plan on drag racing anyways, just spend a couple bucks, get a good balancer. Plus you get to use your degree mark here for timing with your adjustable timing light. So anyways, let me throw this on and then we'll move on to the top end. You laugh till it works. Now you're out in your shed looking for an old pulley to cut down, aren't you? All right, so let's talk about the top end of this motor. So for the longest time, this engine, don't laugh, had a set of 461 camel hump fuelies. They were milled quite a bit and they were ported as big as you can possibly port a set of fuelies. And it ran great for years and years and years and years. And we're talking probably high 11s. It went 11.9s on two different engines, actually. It went 11.9s. I sold those heads and I put a set of Dart Iron Eagles on it, and it picked up quite a bit of horsepower. It was probably at least 40 horsepower difference. It was a big difference. And those heads, I ended up pulling this engine out. I don't know. I really wish I would have started this YouTube channel like 5-6 years ago, because I have built so many cars in the last 5 years. The Blue Wagon came all the way down. We did a suspension. We did Hides front end, rack and pinion steering, disc brakes. We repainted the car. All the electrical got redone, like a whole bunch of stuff got done to the Blue Wagon. And that's when I decided to put the 406 in it, because I wanted to go a little faster, I guess. I don't know. So now that 406 is having some trouble, I was like, well, you know what? I'll just put my 350 back in it. That thing ran great anyways. But I had already sold the Dart Iron Eagles and stuff. They're on my buddy Jay's engine. So anyway, long story short, I needed a new top end for this engine. So I like to use competition products for a lot of my, internal engines, camshafts, things like that, parts, performance parts. I call them up and I'm like, hey, I need a set of small block cylinders. I don't even think I finished my sentence. The guy cut me off. He's laughing. He's like, we don't have any. I'm like, you don't have any? You don't have any? He was like, no, I don't have anything, nothing. And I was like, okay. So I called Summit and I'm like, look, I need a set of cylinder heads, small block Chevy, 64 cc's, I want 20216 valves. They have to be angle, because of my headers, they got to be angle plugs. I want something around 185 to maybe 190-ish cc intake runners. What do you got? And he said, why don't you try a set of those ProMaxxes? And I'm like, you mean those China heads? He was like, no, they're really good heads. And I'm like, bro, you don't have nothing better? Well, I don't want to spend a ton of money on this engine because it's just a used 350. Like, I'm not trying to break the bank on this engine. I'm just trying to throw it together so I can put it back in that car. So I'm like, okay, are you sure these are good heads? He's like, yeah, they're good heads. We have a lot of good reviews, whatever. I did some digging, and yes, they are China heads, but I believe they are assembled in Alabama. So I don't know. So we're gonna try this out. Let's take a look. So here you go. Straight from China, Alabama. Max performance, max quality, minimum price. ProMaxx. Okay. Well, I got no other heads, so this is what we're going with. And I know, I've read the reviews. Some people say, yeah, they're awesome. Some people are like, no, they're junk. Don't buy them. I don't know. Let's read what it says. Small box Chevy, 185cc intake runner. Angle plugs, that's what I needed for my headers. 60 to 64. What does that mean? 60 to 64 cc's. Which one is it? 575 springs, which is plenty for my Isky Mega 292 Mega Cam. And they are assembly, whatever. I don't know what that means. That's kind of worrisome. 60 to 64 cc's. Which one is it? Okay. All right, well, you know what? I've read the reviews. I know. I've heard this horror stories. Valve seats falling out. I don't know. I've also heard you can't just take them out of the box and bolt them on. They don't run. It'll leak. No compression. I don't know. But we're going to do it. We're going to do it. We're doing it. We're doing it. I'm going to take them out of this box and I'm going to bolt them on the engine. And we're going to find out together what happens. Because if they run great, I'll tell you they run great. If they don't run great, I'm going to tell you they don't run great. So this is our China cylinder head out of the box testing. I don't know. All right, let's unbox them together. Why not? So, I mean, a lot of people they recommend you buy aftermarket heads. You can't just bolt them on. You got to take them to the machine shop and you got to remachine the whole thing from scratch. Probably. I'm sure a real machine shop a performance machine shop is gonna go through these heads and they're gonna find problems. Of course they will. That's why you're paying them a lot of money. So obviously you get what you pay for. Well, let's be honest. Most people are gonna buy these heads, they're gonna open the box and they're gonna bolt them on the engine. That's what they're gonna do. So that's what we're gonna do. This is a real world scenario, okay? We take the oven, we open this up. First, they look pretty good. Let's see. Come on. There's one. I got it. Oh, that's gonna fall over. There's one. Okay. They're packaged pretty well. Oh, I need something sharp. So, to me, this is like a real world test. You know what I mean? This is what most people at their house would do. They're just gonna buy them, they're gonna bolt them on, and they're gonna roll the dice. Which is what I'm gonna do. Well, just give it to me. Screw and start your guide plates. Angle plugs, of course. Uh-oh. That ain't good. There's shavings in it. Uh-oh. Yeah. That literally just happened. I tipped it over and some metal shavings from the machining process just fell out. Is there any more? Oh man. We're not off to a good start. How many people are screaming at the TV right now? I told you so. All right, well, we're gonna make sure they're real clean before we bolt them on, which, I mean, we would do that anyways. You would do that no matter what. I mean, if you get anything from the machine shop or something, right, you would go through and clean them. So we're gonna make sure that these are clean before we bolt them on. But that was, yeah, that literally just happened. Okay, everything's fine. Calm down. We blew them out. We sprayed them out. Everybody's happy. Well, I didn't see any more chips fly out of it, okay? So there was just the one. All right. Now, let's go ahead and set it on there. I guess you might want to take a look at these, huh? Combustion chambers look pretty decent. 20216. Angle plugs. Exhaust ports. The intake. All right, good enough. Here we go. We're doing it. We are doing it. Okay. Ta-da. Looks faster already. All right, I did get new screw and studs for this, so let me go get those. All right, so all I'm doing right now is dropping the studs in. I like to kind of do it backwards. Some guys put the studs in first and then try to fight with the gasket, trying to get the gasket on. And then, you know, you end up bending the hell out of the gasket and doing a whole bunch of crap. I don't know. I also like to put silicone on the threads. I put a little bit of silicone on. I think Sarah's back. Sarah went out on a run. She's out doing healthy stuff. So I put a little bit of silicone, where are you at? On the threads. Drop them in here. Like that. You don't gotta make them tight. They're just ARP studs. They got a hex in the hole there or whatever. So you can run them in with a ratchet like that. Yeah, Sarah's out doing healthy person things. She's out jogging the neighborhood. I drink beer and work on cars. She does healthy person stuff. This engine, like I said earlier, I think this is her favorite engine because she used to drive. This was like her first experience with like muscle cars and stuff. When we met in San Diego, I had the Blue Wagon, and I mean, I've had the Blue Wagon since 1998, and she used to drive in it and stuff. I used to let her drive it all the time. And then we moved to Arizona. She actually used it as like her main vehicle for a while, you know. So she's used to driving this engine. She got real comfortable driving in the car. All right, story time. She might delete this. I don't know. So she got pretty confident driving the car, you know, on the street. But she would never race it. She didn't want to take it down the track. And I would always like, come on, just do it. Come on, you drive it all the time. And she'd be like, no, I don't want to do it. There's too many people. Everybody's watching, whatever. And one night, we were at Wild Horse Pass, and I had made a few passes that night, and I was running like 11.5, and then I hit it real hard, and it went 11.40s. And as soon as you go 11.40s, they would give me a warning. You know, they'd say, you know, because the car didn't have a roll cage, so I could only pass tech to 11.5. So as soon as I go 11.40, they'd give me a warning. Hey, don't do that again. You do that again, you're done. And I'm like, oh man. So I did it. I went 11.40, and so I got a warning. Next thing you know, I'm trying to talk Sarah into making a pass. I'm like, well, I'm basically done for the night. Like, if I do it again, then they're gonna kick me out. So I'm like, you know, you might as well just get some practice. You know, give it a try. Just try it. And she was like, no, I don't want to. And I finally talked her into it. There was a few of my friends there that night. We were all talking her into it. And, you know, we were like, dude, who cares? If there's people watching, like, don't worry, just make a pass. And so she was like, finally, she was like, all right. And of course, she had a wristband on, so she was legal. She would always get a wristband to go down to the starting line anyways. So, anyways, she had closed-toed shoes on, she had a helmet, and she had jeans on, so she was totally fine to drive the car. So it was pretty crowded that night. It was actually really crowded. And so up and down to these, I think. No, I guess not. So anyways, it was a long line, a lot of people, and it was a long wait in the staging lanes to get to the front. And so she's nervous. She's sitting there, and I'm just talking her through it. And I'm like, okay, I turned the shift light. They had a shift light, a big tack with a shift light on it, an adjustable shift light. I turned it down because I usually shift it 7,200. So I turned the shift light way down. I was like, just shift it like 6,200, you know. And just drive it like you're driving to the grocery store. And she was like, okay. And I'm telling her how to stage, you know, pull up to the beams, how to set the stage, then just hold the brake pedals as hard as you can. And then just, you know, when the light, on the last yellow, I said, on the last yellow, hit it, you know. And whatever, talking her through it. And so there's like at Wild Horse Pass, there's like 6 staging lanes that all kind of pull up to there's a track official right there. And she's in the car, windows up, helmet on. We get to the front of the staging lane, and the track official, he stops and goes to the next lane. So we're like, oh man, all right, well, I told her, all right, just chill out. It's gonna be a while. He's gonna go to the next lane and the next lane and the next lane, and then he's gonna come back to the first lane and the second. I think we were in like the third lane. So I'm like, it's gonna be a while. So she got kind of nervous there, and then it was like building up to it, and then it stopped, and we're just sitting there. And so she took her helmet off and undid the seatbelt, and like she's sitting there. And they went to lane 4. I think they went to lane 5, and there was a bunch of cars going, and lane 5's going, and then there was this Mustang that pulled up, and it was like a late 90s body style Mustang, kind of ratty looking, but he was on big slicks, and he had a supercharger or something. It was whining under the hood. And I was like, wow. He's talking to the track official. And I see the track official talking to him, and he points at, he's like, okay, over there, okay. And then he looks right at the wagon, and he points at the wagon, and he tells it, come on. And I'm like, oh, poop. I'm like, babe, put your helmet on. And she's like, what's wrong? I'm like, put your helmet on, let's go. I'm like, you're racing right now. And she's like panicking. What happened? I'm like, that Mustang over there, he just called you out. She's like, no, you race him. I'm like, no, you racing him. Get your helmet on, get your seatbelt on, come on. I'm rolling the window up. I'm like, come on. She's trying to get out of the car. Like, no, you do it. I'm like, okay, now listen, forget everything I said. I'm reaching in the car. I'm turning the shift light back up to 7,200. I'm like, get out there and kill this guy. You got to kill him. And she's like, what? You do it. I'm like, no, you got it. So she's scared. I just turned the shift light back up. I'm like, you hammer it. You hammer this car. I don't care if you blow it up. You run this guy, you better win. And she's like, oh, I don't know. I'm like, before she could say anything else, I shut the door. Bye, babe, good luck. So she pulls out onto the track, and she's scared, right? The Mustang, he's already done his burnout. Like, he's already done the burnout. He's already sitting up at the staging lane, like, or up at the first, he's got his first beam on already. And she's just barely creeping up there, like real slow. And I'm like, she's super nervous. So I'm like, okay, well, we'll see what happens. And next thing you know, she finally gets it staged, and the light drops, and she waited for the green. Like, she was way late. And the Mustang was out on her like 2 car lengths immediately. And I was like, oh, man. Like, oh, that sucks. Like, I was hoping that she, would give this guy a run at least, because he called her out. He called out the Nova. And so, I mean, he thought he was racing me, probably, I don't know. So he's out on her like 2 car lengths right away. And next thing you know, that little Nova kept coming. And me and my buddies, we're at the starting line just yelling and screaming, go. She's going to get him. And like, sure enough, she beat that guy by like maybe a bumper. Like, she caught him at the very end of the line. Like, it was so close, but she ran him down. She got him. So she went down the track one time in that car with this engine. So she won't run the Chevelle though. I've tried to get her to run the green Chevelle. She won't do it. She don't like it. There's too many switches and buttons and things going on. She don't like it. So, I don't know. One of these days we'll get her in there. But she doesn't like the Chevelle. I make her pull it on and off the trailer and stuff, but she don't like it. She says there's too many buttons and things going on. But yeah. That's Sarah's one and only track experience, making a pass at the track. So maybe we'll get her back out there and get her in this thing again and get a few more passes under her belt. See how it goes. I'm just putting the ARP stud lube on the threads. We'll start torquing this one down. Maybe she'll come out here and help. I think she's back now. Let's see. I'm just running them down real, like, I do this in like 3 steps usually. First one, I just bring them down to like 40 just to get them all equal. It's only like 40 pounds right now. There's Oliver. You out there barking? What are you barking at? Huh? So the first round, just bringing them down to 40, just to make everything equal, even, before I start really torquing these things. Okay, so basically that's my starting point. Okay, I did 3 steps all the way up to 80. Hi, baby.
Hi.
How was your run?
Long.
Yeah.
You didn't want to join me?
Yeah.
It was only 4 miles. Or almost 5. It's like 4.5.
Well, I got one head on, and when I opened it and took it out, this fell out.
Uh-oh.
Let me show you. Literally happened on camera. So, I don't know. We'll see what happens. These are cheap Chinese heads.
I thought they're supposed to be really good though, like performance-wise. Oh, I just broke it. It's kind of clumsy.
It's just a little. I don't know. Some reviews are pretty good. Some reviews are not very good. But anyway. And then I was talking about you.
Oh. All good, right?
I told them about your experience on the racetrack.
Thanks.
All right. You want to put that side on?
Yeah. I'll finish out here. You go get our groceries and do our meal prep.
Okay. All right, well, we got to clean it, and we got to clean that head, and then we can start on the other side. All right, well, she had to go get her groceries. So, I cleaned this head, cleaned the block. I also like to put a little dot of silicone in the corners of the gaskets. Force of habit, I guess. But right in the corners, I'll put a little tiny dab of silicone. And then we'll go ahead and run our studs in. Put a little silicone on the threads. Run all these in. Torque this side down. Okay, the heads are torqued. 3 steps, 40, 60, 80 pounds, because that's how we like to party. Anyways, now I'm gonna start on the Valvetrain. This is a flat tappet cam, okay? And those lifters were seated to that cam for 20 years now. You take those lifters out, you have to put them back in exactly the same spot they came out of. You cannot move these around. If it was a roller cam, sure, why not? You can flip-flop the lifters anytime you want. They don't ever seat into the cam. Flat tappet cams, I don't care if hydraulic or solid, whatever. Flat tappet means that lifter seats to that cam lobe for life. You don't ever switch them around. So you got to be real careful when you take them out. I keep a box like this around so I can put them in exactly, and I mark front means front. And I put them in exactly the same spot they came out of. I only took them out so I can clean the engine and flip it upside down and all that. So anyways, lifters go back in. So luckily I have several sets of push rods, because with these heads, they like 100 thousandths longer push rods. So the stock link ones did not work. So I luckily had 100 thousandths and 200 thousandths longer push rods. I'm going with the 100 thousandths. Next, I want to get these centered up better. It looks like these are off a little bit, so hopefully there's a little bit of wiggle room if you loosen these up. You also want to put silicone on the intake runner, especially the intake sides. The hole goes all the way through. So I'll show you in a minute what I'm talking about. This intake studs, you want to put a little silicone on the threads so oil can't seep down the threads and into the intake. So let me crack these loose. I'll show you what I'm talking about. I also want to center them up a little better. Hopefully there's, like I said, there's enough wiggle room on the bolt holes. If not, I'm going to probably order a set of push or guide plates that are notched so you can independently adjust these and slide them back and forth. I'll show you what I'm talking about here in a second. Okay, most aftermarket heads do this. If you look, when they do screw and studs, the threads will go into the intake runner. I don't know if you can see my finger in there, see it? Hold on, let me get a light. Look down that hole. See it? So those threads, if you get oil running down those threads, it'll go right into the intake runner and you'll be like, what the? My engine's smoking. And you'll be like, what's going on? It's probably valve guides. Not necessarily. Not necessarily. So be careful when you're doing screw and studs. Put a little silicone on those threads. You know what I mean? Plug that up so you don't get any oil consumption. All right, so now I got them kind of cracked loose. Now I want to look at the tip of the rocker. I want to get the tip of the rocker centered on that valve stem. Now, the length of the push rod matters. That's going to change where it sits on the valve stem, but also your guide plate. If you wiggle this guide plate back and forth, look at the tip of the rocker. See the tip? So you want to get everything centered on the valve stem as best as possible. So I'm going through each one and I'm trying to center them up, the rocker arm onto the valve stem. And I come across this. Can you see it? Let's try to focus on the engine. Focus on this. Well, what is that? I'm not happy about that. Hopefully I got another set of screw and studs. Well, swap meet parts to the rescue. I have no idea how long I've had these, but we're gonna scavenge some other parts out of them, I guarantee you that. Whatever it is, it's worth 20 bucks. Okay, we got Valvetrain. Now what I'm gonna do is throw one of these on in order to straighten out all the bent studs. I'm just kidding, that's not funny. Yeah, I only found the one, so maybe there's more, I hope not, I don't know. But we put this on there to keep anything from flexing or moving anyways, so hopefully we're good. Hopefully it was just a fluke, maybe it happened in shipping, I don't know, who knows. So, let me stick these on, and then I think we're down to intake manifold. And that's about it for today, I think. We'll see. So I was thinking about it and I'm like, I don't know, we'll see how these heads do, but if they work out and they're not bad, I was thinking maybe ordering another set of them for Down and Dirty, because right now Down and Dirty was that engine. If you watch those videos, I talk about it, but that 383 was built for, you know, street and low compression. So the heads that are on that engine are only like 72 or 76 cc's, I think. So I don't know, if I put a set of these on it, get on there, then it would gain a lot of compression. So we will see, I guess. I don't know if these heads are awesome and they work out, then maybe I'll order another set of them. Or the other option is I take the 406 out of the Blue Wagon and either rebuild it and put it in Down and Dirty, or maybe just the top half. I don't know, because that 406 that's in the Blue Wagon right now, it has a set of Motown 220s. So Motown 220 intake runner, they're kind of big. That might be too big for that 383. I don't know. I guess it all depends on what's wrong with that 406 and what's wrong with the 406 and how fast is Down and Dirty, and like how streetable is it? Because I might take it out and take it to the first like drive and drag event, and maybe it's great. Maybe I like it, runs on pump gas, nice and cool, no problem. If not, then maybe we pull the heads off of that Down and Dirty engine and that little 383 and maybe put the heads off the 406 on it, or maybe we just put the whole 406 in it, or I don't know. Who knows? These are the things I think about while I'm working. So, anyways, tighten these up and move on to the intake manifold. They look pretty, at least. Look, check it out. I've been working, not paying attention to the time, and it got dark out. I gotta work tomorrow too, dang it.